Welcome back for another video. Transfer plans, an early look at my team selection for Game Week 11. Plus, let's unpack everything that we've learned from the weekend's game to take into Game Week 11. How many points are you guys on? Let us know down below. So, Burnley 0, Arsenal 2. Just kind of felt inevitable, didn't it? Another Arsenal clean sheet, a goal off a corner, a Gabriel return. Gabriel's got 55 points over the last 5 game weeks. That's 11 points per game on average, which is crazy. It's very early, but he's well on his way to joining the all-time FPL Dream Team very comfortably at current pace. He would need to average 4.5 points per game for the rest of the season. Over the last 5, he's averaging 11 per game. Arsenal have scored 8 league goals via corners this season. That's the most ever by a team in their first 10 games in a Premier League season. There've been a total of 5 games this season where an opponent has failed to even shoot on target. Arsenal responsible for 3 of those 5, and that is 7 consecutive games without conceding in all competitions. That's just the second time in Arsenal's entire history. They previously did it in September to October 1987. That was also a run of 7 games. Jonas with a goal at last as well, and it was a Gabriel assist off that corner. Saka owners can count themselves a bit unlucky. He had 2 big chances, 0.58 expected goals. That's 2 goals and 4 assists for Rice this season. He came away with a double-digit return. Perhaps he's the answer, to Saka and Jonas not actually delivering the points. Plus, he is 3.4 million cheaper than Saka. Brighton registered 3 expected goals against Leeds, exactly 3.0, and it ended up 3-0. Låbakk making it 5 goals in his last 5 games. Well, I don't know if you picked him up. He and Thiago look like really nice options in that cheap striker bracket, like 6 to 7 million. Once you go down 6 million, there's no forwards that look particularly good. Mente came away with 2 assists. One of them was a little bit fortunate and quite harsh on Rate, who did show a moment of brilliance to wriggle through and create a goal. No bonus for Mente though, despite the 2 assists, but he was someone that we were hyping up on last week's players to buy video, given that he's only 6 million, more touches in the opponent's box than any player this season, under 5% owned and good fixtures. And if any of you caught me on the FPL show, he was actually my pick as well for the week. Potentially buying him myself this week, if not next. Brighton come away with their first clean sheet of the season as well. Not so much a great match from the perspective of Rodon owners that started him after the heights, of course, the week before, after that 13-pointer. Well, at least Palace did pretty well after the amount of hype they got last week. A clean sheet home to Brentford. Guehi with a 10-pointer having hit AFCON. The choir hit it as well. That reminds me, so we just rolled out one of the biggest feature requests of the season on the FPL Focal app and on FPL page. There's now a toggle to show bonus points on the AFCON tool. So basically you can view everything that you need during games, so AFCONs, bonus points and saves, live during games. It updates itself even, you don't have to refresh if you don't want to. So that's been added on the AFCON widget, and likewise we've added the same on the bonus widget, so you can toggle AFCONs. It's free and there's a link in the description to install the app, or you can use it in your browser at FPL.page. Mateta on the score sheet half an hour into the game as well, and he ended up with maximum bonus points. The only disappointment in this match was Sarr really. He didn't get any returns, but he did come very close as he often does, even hitting the post at one point. He's still a fantastic pick. So who's got the best fixtures coming up then from Game Week 11? FPL have also just updated a few team ratings, which you might have noticed. Like Bournemouth away is now shown as a red fixture, for example, and I think Leeds away has been moved up to grey. If you didn't know, by the way, on the app you can also actually set your own team ratings if there's any you don't agree with. That's one of the 20 plus members benefits that you get. 58p a week it is to support the site. And look at that, Man United top of the ticker. Bruno got an assist off a corner last match, and of course the curse of the most transferred player and Boomer did actually blank, but he's still an awesome pick. Bournemouth for second on the ticker. Now of course Semenyo's in a lot of teams, but Krupi's emerging as a popular forward, and I think he's alright as a third forward if you can bench him when needed in a 3-5-2, but yeah, he could be a little bit of an iffy pick later, like when Evan Nilsson's back. He might not start every game, we'll have to see what happens there. Truffer and Senesi obviously both great options at the back for Bournemouth. Liverpool are second on the ticker, and of course they do have Man City next, so no rush to buy this game week, but it is one to keep in mind because that run from game week 12 is unbelievable. Some other teams that are high on the ticker of note, in my opinion: Arsenal, Chelsea, Palace, Everton and Fulham. Lots of you have commented recently about AFCON and how it's going to impact FPL, which players are going to be leaving FPL. So I've spent a bit of time on a guide for you, and I recommend checking out the full guide, which is free on the app under articles, or you can go to fpl.page and read it there. So the list I've made here is basically notable players that have been called up. This is an arbitrary list that I made of the notable players, whether that's like their ownership or maybe impact on teammates. So, the likes of Mbeumo is very notable, but also someone like Visser being called up is notable because Voltemada looks very secure for minutes while he's away. The full longer list is in the article, but most players won't have any meaningful effect on the team. But yeah, this list is Dango, Foster, Ismail Assar, Ndai, Iwobi, Salah, Mbeumo, Aït-Nouri, Marmoush, Wissa, Aina, Diouf, Wan-Bissaka and Agbadou. The AFCON group stage starts on the 21st of December. Game Week 16 is 8 days before that, and a lot of countries are going to want the players there in good time, so it is possible that lots of players will be gone as early as Game Week 16. And as a reminder, that's the week where we all get topped up to 5 free transfers. So basically the aim is to use up your free transfers in Game Week 15, because the very next week, when the deadline passes, for Game Week 16 we'll have 5 free transfers. And yeah, if not gone by Game Week 16, then every single one of them will definitely be gone for Game Week 17. There's also some estimated return dates in the article, just based on team strengths and, and how far they're expected to progress. The AFCON final is on the 18th of January, so basically it lasts about a month in total, and whoever wins it could potentially miss Game Week 23 as well, which is just a few days after the final if they're celebrating. 0.05. Tottenham's XG total of 0.05 against Chelsea was their lowest ever on record in a Premier League game, with this being their 504th game in the competition since they started recording these stats. Shocking home performance against Chelsea. And to top it all off, the most sold player, João Pedro, finally scored. His last shot on target before that game was literally in Game Week 3. Game Week 3, I kid you not. And then he took 5 shots in that game against Spurs, and he had 3 big chances. I mean, the script writers are getting lazy with how obvious this one was after being by far the most sold player. He actually, despite that, ended up as the biggest XG underperformer despite scoring. He scored only once from 1.7 expected goals. Salah has now equalled Wayne Rooney with 276 for Man United for the most goal involvements in the Premier League for a single club in history. Salah with 188 goals and 88 assists for Liverpool. It was a loose pass from Martinez as well, not the most glamorous goal. Playing it out from the back and it went straight to Salah, who buried it. I mean, Salah barely looked pleased. I think he kind of knows how this season has gone so far overall for he and Liverpool to this point, and he knows he can do a lot better. By this point last season, he was on 7 goals, 5 assists. He's currently on 4 goals, 2 assists. He is slowly climbing up those midfielder rankings. He's currently 1 point behind Mbeumo as the 5th top mid. If you're looking for a really aggressive strategy, then Salah from Game Week 13 is definitely the play. But obviously prepare yourself for maximum volatility if you do that. It could genuinely make or break your season. But yeah, if you're the kind of manager that is open to playing super aggressive, then it's definitely an option. So from Game Week 13, it would be a run of Forest home, West Ham away, Sunderland home and Leeds away. You possibly get Brighton home as well after that before he goes to AFCON. So that's a crazy run of 4, maybe 5 game weeks as a short-term play. Gakpo might be where many turn instead, because he's like half the price in fairness. Anyway, Liverpool's lost streak coming to an end, and a clean sheet as well. 5 points for Van Dijk. He did get booked, no DEFCON. I'm actually looking at Van Dijk potentially from Game Week 13 myself, but it does depend on how transfers play out the next couple of weeks. Closing off the weekend, Haaland had bagged a brace by the 33rd minute. He could have had a hat-trick in the first half by about 36 minutes in, but it was a really great save by Petrovic, standing tall as Haaland tried to dink him. That's the 4th home game in a row that Haaland scored a brace in. Absolutely crazy. Only 2 players have ever done that before him. Robbie Fowler scored 4 home braces in a row in the 95-96 season, and Luis Suarez did it in 2013-14. Cherky was absolutely quality as well against Bournemouth. The big surprise was Reinders being benched. I had him predicting to start myself. Guardiola confirmed that he wasn't deemed fully fit. He said the following: "He's not completely fit. I was desperate to make him play, but this week he could not train. Yesterday was his first training session, and I decided to start him on the bench, and we'll see what happens during the game." Unfortunately, he did come on for a 1-pointer. Elsewhere, Fulham kept a clean sheet over Wolves, who went down to 10 men after an Agbadou straight red card. Wolves have failed to win any of their opening 10 league games in both their last 2 seasons. It was 2 draws and 8 losses this season, and it was 3 draws, 7 losses last season. And that's as many times as their 125 previous campaigns in the top 4 tiers. Sessegnon came away with a goal and an assist in that win over Wolves for a 14-pointer. Elsewhere, it was Amarim's 37th Premier League game in charge, and that was actually the first time he's ever named an unchanged 11 in the league. So yeah, it was a Bruno assist off a corner and Bumo blank. Ahmad scored a brilliant goal from outside the box. I don't suppose many of us are looking at him, but really nice goal. And oddly, Ahmad's equaliser there was his 10th league goal for Man United, and all 10 of those have been scored in the second half of matches, which is actually a record for the most goals by a player when all of them have been scored in the second half. Chalobah moves further up the defender points rankings after a 7-pointer, getting that clean sheet against Spurs. Only 5.1 million, and he's on 49 points for the season now. Voltemada and Gordon were both taken off at half-time in Newcastle's 3-1 defeat against West Ham. Huge result for West Ham. Paquetá with a nice goal from outside the box. Botman own goal, and then Souček in the 98th minute. So look at my team selection and transfer plans for Game Week 11 then. The team is Raya in goal, a back 3 of Munoz, Gabriel and Anderson. In midfield, Ndai, Semenyo, Bruno and Enzo. And up front, Mateta, Haaland and Gyökeres. So the bench would be Dubravka, Rodon, Stack and Mukiele. I mean, the bench order just picks itself because Stack's been benched twice in a row now. Mukiele's got Arsenal, so he's last on the bench. So yeah, Stack's become a problem that I really didn't anticipate. I do have 3 free transfers, which is great. I've only got 0.1 million in the bank though. Currently, there's 2 directions that I'll be going, and it does depend on Gyökeres. Option 1 is to roll if Gyökeres is fine, and that takes me up to 4 free transfers. I'm not unhappy with my team, but if Gyökeres is a doubt by the next deadline, then I'm not really that keen on rolling and starting Rodon. So the other option I'm looking at is Gyökeres to Gu, Stack to Saka, and then Ndai to Minte using up the 3 free transfers. Those moves have got 0.3 mil wiggle room left over, so if I was to wait until next deadline, I can afford to wait. I'm not really that keen on selling Ndai though before he's got Fulham home. And I'll be buying Minte as well. He does face Munoz, so it's attacker versus defender. There are trade-offs, but it does fix Gyökeres if he's out, and it does fix Stack. If I were to roll, there is an alternative set of moves in Game Week 12, which would be Gyökeres to Thiago, and Ndai to Saka, and then Stack down to a 4.3 mil mid. That is exact money though, so by the time we get to Game Week 12, which is ages away, then I'll probably be priced out. I could even roll all the way to Game Week 13 instead, and I'd be on 5 transfers, and instead I'd sell Enzo, who's got Arsenal that week, instead of Ndai. So currently the aim is to roll, but it does depend on Gyökeres' news. Arteta said Gyökeres was feeling a little niggle and it was muscular. Arsenal were totally in control of that game, to be fair, so it's also one of those where they really didn't need to risk him, and they have got some important games coming up. There's the Champions League, Europa League and Europa Conference League midweek anyway, so I won't make early moves either way, and then we can just assess how Gyökeres gets on, if he plays or if he's not in the squad. And yeah, Havertz is nearing a return. I think Gabriel Jesus is also slowly getting nearer, but I think he's further away. So it is also at the back of my head that I do at some point need to move Gyökeres on if he starts to look like he might be getting early subs, maybe even the odd bench him. Anyway, if this was helpful, do hit like below. It's free, and likewise so is subscribing to the channel. I'll be posting daily FPL content this week and beyond to help you do well. See you soon for the next one.